we were attacked on October 7th, obviously. And then I think we all know that we were attacked again. Let's see, my dream comes true and I'm performing Coachella and there's a huge crowd of people that don't even understand where I'm at right now. I'm not in a regular place right now. My heart is in a different place, and I am aching, and I am angry, and I am frustrated, and I don't sleep well. I don't function well. You know, I think a lot of Jews are in this place right now, and I just, you know, want to be with people like me at this moment. You know, I don't want to. I want to say October 7th, and everybody in the crowd understands what I'm saying. I don't want to explain it. That's where I am at right now as an artist. I just want to sing and talk and engage and hug people who get it.
The Jew saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality?
I always ask myself how to start this thing to make it engaging enough to keep everyone on the show for longer than 30 seconds. Then I realized that people who are here for the same reason that we're here. They're trying to actually make a dent in this growing problem of anti-Semitism. But what I'm also realizing is that maybe people are just tired of talking about this every day. Well, we don't talk about it every day, but you know, it feels like we talk about it a lot. Maybe people are tired of that. Maybe they just want to meet interesting people and hear interesting stories, and that's okay. I don't know if this is the podcast for them, but I think we've along the way since starting the Jew Function, we've had some interesting characters on the show. I mean, definitely people that you wouldn't meet otherwise anywhere else. So that in itself is worthwhile. I would stay just to find out who's the next guest. What's he going to be like? What's their story? What makes them Jewish? What do they think a Jew is, and why is he still being hated after all those years? I think those are all worthwhile questions, and I realize, Seth, that many people don't ask these questions. They don't even search for a podcast on how to solve anti-Semitism because they think there's there's no solution. I'm sorry. Now that they think there's no problem, everybody knows there's a problem. I think a lot of people think there's no solution.
No, it's not that I think there's no solution. I just can't stand the word anymore. It just
what,
feels
Jew
like,
or anti-Semitism?
No, anti-Semitism.
Oh, okay.
It feels like, having to go into, into like an uncomfortable room that smells really bad and there's going to be nothing good to eat. It's, just like everything about it is going to be uncomfortable for the next few hours. I just don't like the word anymore. It feels like we need to reframe the whole thing we're doing. But that's one thing. And I hope we should be able to do that. Where this is our field of expertise here, so we should be able to reframe it away from that word towards something else. But something that has happened during the course of our podcast, which is absolutely fascinating. The double split experiment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone who doesn't know, they thought that is light
the slit, not split.
Double slit experiment, where the light passed through the different slits and it moves basically to the end of the story. In short layman's terms, is that reality changes based on the observer. And what's become so real, yesterday they quote unquote released the JFK files. The Trump administration released the
let me guess,
files.
the Mossad did it.
Yeah, so that's the funny thing. So all of the accounts that are, anti-Jew, anti-Israel, all found all the places where it says that the Jews did it, and everyone else says, look, it doesn't say anything about the Jews and the Mossad, and now that's why you're all so quiet, because it doesn't say anything about the Jews doing it. So everyone's got their own, like, even you're looking at the exact same thing, it's become clear. I think that's the world that we ended up in now after this whole October 7th situation, after this whole thing, what's a boy, what's a girl, who's a terrorist, who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. Like this whole couple of years in the process of our podcast has when it spits you out the other end, it turns out that reality, there is no objective reality. Reality is just completely how you look at it. And what we need to do then is find people who have and speak to people who have really strong visions about a good future and how to build that, because it's not just a fight as it was in the past. Here's our facts. Don't you see? We're actually good. You shouldn't kill us. No, here's the facts. Don't you see everywhere you go, you cause mayhem. We should kill you or get rid of you. Like, this doesn't matter. People are going to, it's just whoever has the most compelling story, the most compelling vision. And it's not going to be any one person like in the past, like there's a Da Vinci or there's a Shakespeare. We're going to have to do it as a community, as like a Klal Yisrael or something. So that's why it's awesome to me that we keep bringing people like Rami into our circle, people who are out there. Each one is a hero, like doing something in a place, and together we create this new story. And let's forget about this word eventually, anti-Semitism, when we can.
Let's call it Kugel fighting or something.
Kugel fest or something. Yeah, something. Yeah. I don't know, something else.
Something spicy. I totally agree. I think I don't know if we talked about it, but there's a new. It's not new. It's relatively new. It's from this year actually. There's a pan. Well, there's a scientist, Federico Fagin. He's an Italian physicist, and he's the guy who invented the CPU, by the way. Okay, so he's and the touchpad. He knows a thing or two about stuff, but he talks about one day he had that was like in the 90s. He was running these big companies and all that, and then one day he was lying in bed in Lake Tahoe. He went up to get a glass of water and came back to bed, hoping to fall asleep. Suddenly he felt like this stream of light coming out of his chest and filling everything, and it's just like love. And it was him watching it, and then him being it watching himself, and it was this just field of existence. And then there was his awareness inside of it, but like there was nothing. There was really no mass, no thing. He had this, that shook him up, and that kind of for the next 20, 30 years, he was trying to put the equations for that. Like, how do I, explain that feeling of love and everything, and that everything is really just fluctuations in the field. So it's hard to reconcile the fact that you live in a very, very solid reality where people kill and get killed on a regular daily basis, it seems nowadays. And at the same time, there's all just fluctuations in the field. So I'm just putting it out there. I don't know how it's relevant to our guest today. Maybe we're setting it at the bar, very high.
I don't think so. I think it's actually people like Rami. I saw a video before I even we had this booked. He came up in my X feed in Ohio, in front of the council, wherever. I think it's each of these little heroes, not little heroes, but like each of these people doing things in all of these places, and somehow there's a network between all of us. That's the special thing about this Jew thing, that there's this network between all of us, and
the Jew function. You can say the Jew function.
The Jew function.
Yeah, don't forget to drop the name of the brand. Anyways, all right. So I think we went on it just enough. Let's invite our guest. He's an Israeli singer-songwriter who lives in Ohio for some reason. He's going to tell us why. And he's also, kind of like many Israelis abroad, he became sort of a reluctant activist in this whole unfolding campaign. So let's invite him. Rami Feinstein, please join us on the Jew Function.
Rami Feinstein.
Hi, shalom.
Hey, shalom.
Shalom. And how are you?
I'm okay. Every day is different. Roller coaster for more than a year and a half, but I'm okay.
And you were there where you are right now. Where are you right now? You're in Ohio somewhere?
Yes, in Akron, Ohio. So my story is that.
Tell us.
So I've been touring the U.S. In Jewish communities and other venues for at least 10 years. I've been coming from Israel. I've been living in Tel Aviv for the past 20 years, and I've been coming to the U.S. to tour. And 2.5, almost 3 years ago, I came for. There was a radio station in Akron, Ohio, that was playing some of my songs, and that led to a performance in front of the Jewish community. So I came and I gave a show, and then they asked me, "Would you like to come here with your wife and 2 kids and be our shaliach?"
Mm.
And for what? What is it?
For the Jewish community. For the Jewish community, usually that's something that happens through the Jewish agency. But I'm an American citizen, so they can just ask me if I can come and do that. And I'm still performing and recording and touring. But I also do this, and I'm very proud to be doing whatever I can do for this community and to strengthen the connection between this community and Israel. So I've been here for 2.5 years, and this is what I'm doing in Akron, Ohio right now.
Is there like a big music scene in Akron, Ohio that we missed somehow?
First of all, there's a cool music scene in Akron, Ohio. And Chrissy Hind from Akron, Ohio, and Devo, and of course,
they all left.
LeBron James is from Akron, Ohio, too, right?
They all left,
They all left, but they came from Akron, Ohio, and so there are some amazing artists in Akron, Ohio. And actually, a few months ago, I took a group of 6 artists from Akron, Ohio. 4 of them are not even Jewish. We came to Israel for 8 shows in 9 days to show support for the people of Israel. And we performed in front of evacuees, communities. We performed in Hostage Square. We performed in front of wounded soldiers in the hospital. And, this is part of what I do. And right now, for me, being an artist and being a Jew are 2 things. Everything is combined with being a Jew right now. So this is combined too. And, and my art is about this right now also, because this is what I live in and breathe, because there's nothing else, for me. So we came to Israel, and I think this is unprecedented. There hasn't been, I don't know of a group from another city that came, artists, Jews and non-Jews, to support Israel for a tour like we did. So I think some respect for the music scene in Akron, Ohio.
Well, definitely respect. I have a huge respect for musicians. I play. I'm not a professional musician, but I know the hardships. Is your music about being a Jew?
Well, it's like not always.
I think we'll have the scene of Borat going singing throw the Jew down the well, right? So are you in that category, or are you in the?
I don't think I'm in that. I don't think I'm in that category. But thank you for the comparison. No, but obviously, So when I came here 2.5 years ago, here's something that I went through as an artist. When I came here 2.5 years ago, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I do Coachella? As a musician, you always dream, right? As a singer-songwriter, you always dream. And I have songs that have a very universal message as well, and songs that deal with also my experience as a Jewish Israeli Zionist in this world. But after October 7, to be honest, my whole approach changed. My dreams have changed. What I want to do now and what I've been doing is to stand in front of people who get it, and Jews and non-Jews who get where we're at right now, and empower them and make them feel less alone with my art. And this is what I've been doing, and this is what I want to do. No, it's just it's just where I want to be right now. I want to be with people like me, people who get it. I'm going to be standing. Let's see, my dream comes true, and perform in Coachella, and there's a huge crowd of people that don't even understand where I'm at right now. I'm not in a regular place right now. My heart is in a different place, and I am aching, and I am angry, and I am frustrated, and I don't sleep well. I don't function well. I think a lot of Jews are in this place right now, and I just want to be with people like me at this moment. I don't want to. I want to say October 7, and everybody in the crowd understands what I'm saying. I don't want to explain it. That's where I am at right now as an artist. I just want to sing and talk and engage and hug people who get it.
So who does the message reach?
I think there's a lot of, well, first of all, my art is not a one message. There's a lot of things, but again, if I can take Jews and non-Jews that have the right sentiment or understand what we're going through right now, and I can empower them, and I can with my music have them connect to feelings that they feel in a different way, like art can do that for you. So I feel very privileged, and this is what I want to do. And to your question, there's a few songs that are released since October 7th. One song is called "Please Don't Take That Away From Me," and that is a song that talks about me trying to not lose faith in humanity. Please don't take that away from me. I want to stay a believer. I want to still believe in people, because I think the crisis right now is so big. The crisis that I feel inside.
What is the crisis now?
Well, I think, we were attacked on October 7, obviously. And then I think we all know that we were attacked again, because at first we said, I can't believe that people could do those terrible things. And then after, and then we were like, well, obviously everybody should understand that this is terrible, right? And then the other attack, we were like, I can't believe people are actually cheering for those people that did those terrible things. So that's the second attack, as far as I'm concerned. And the fact that people don't get it immediately. People have such a problem. I think you kind of mentioned that, distinguishing between good and bad, good and evil, and people have such a problem understanding that. And you hear, even, I'm not even talking about the pro-Hamas demonstrations or whatnot. I'm talking about just a regular person that says, well, both sides. Like, for me, when you say that, you have you are morally confused, and yeah, that's how I feel.
Isn't this like when you shine a light in a dark? I thought the room was clean, but then if I go around with a flashlight and I find that there's dust in the corners,
Maybe.
isn't it? Didn't we discover that there's I saw a video this morning of some guy in New York City with the green band, he had the black thing on and then the green bandana, and he says we want to kill all Zionists. And the guy interviewing him is like, why are you saying that? He goes, because they want to kill all the Arabs. He goes, I'm an Arab because I'm a Jew from Egypt and Lebanon. My parents are Lebanese, and the kid just is like dumbfounded. The kid has no idea what the hell he's talking about. He has no background. He just heard something, and now all of a sudden he has a cool club that he could be part of, kill the Zionist club or something like that. But isn't it just the nature of life that there's just a lot of very easily influenced people, and that Genghis Khan would go around chop people's hands off. I mean, it's not a new thing that people are absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I don't necessarily engage in that question in terms of how natural it is or not. I just feel that my role in this situation is to expect people to have a higher moral standard and a better understanding
Why?
and some sense of criticism.
Why?
Because that's not because because I feel that that's my role. I don't necessarily
But your role is to expect them to have more, or what's the role?
Yeah, my role is to say, listen, you guys need to get this. Yeah, absolutely. You guys need to get that this is the problem, and the fact that you're not getting this, that's a problem. And I don't know why you're not getting this. I don't presume to know why, but this is a problem. If you can't,
let's say 30% of the world gets it and 70% doesn't. So then what do we do?
I'm not sure these are the numbers. I think it's
okay, 50-50.
Okay. So I think my job is to portray a moral clarity in this situation and be proud of who I am and unapologetic. And I think in the long run, that's how we win.
Let me ask you something, Rami. Have you experienced anti-Semitism before October 7th?
Well, I wouldn't say like in a blunt way. I have heard people say things that are considered, politically incorrect or whatnot. Some people, have different. Some people I met here in the States, using the things that we now consider to be, like someone would say, well, are you trying to Jew me down? Or people, or I have people that are friends of mine, nice, good people, say to me, one person said, you have money. I'm like, no, I'm not. Well, you're Jewish. I'm like, and that's a serious conversation I had. And I said, yeah, I'm a Jewish, but I'm also a musician. so no. And she, no, but you have more than me. I'm like, I don't know how much you have, but I don't think I have more than you. And this is a serious conversation I have with someone that has the best intentions, like a good person. And that person just said, well, you know what? I'm sorry, that's the way I was raised. But regardless of that, before October 7, we also know that the anti-Israel sentiment, which I have no problem defining it as anti-Semitic. I don't think there's a huge difference 99% of the times. So we have experienced that in many, many ways. The BDS is not something new. Those attempts to delegitimize Israel is not a new thing. They just kind of caught a wave right now, but we know that to be the reality for many, many years, and we know that the things that we see now in the street are a result of something that was carefully planned for decades, and unfortunately somewhat successful.
But have you ever, I'm curious, you've never wondered why this thing is still a thing? I mean, after all those years, after all the cycles that humanity went through and all the different wars and revolutions and human rights and this and that and the other, and why is it, why this group receives such a preferential treatment from the rest of humanity? Is that hasn't triggered any?
So that's not my focus. I'm not focused in that question. So for me, the basis of my Jewish identity has nothing to do with the amount of hatred that someone else has towards me. For instance, the three of us, we can be sitting in a room, and a room next to us, there's a group that calls us a name and hates us and wants to do this and that to us. It doesn't mean logically, my logic works like this. It says, I don't necessarily have to belong to that group. I don't necessarily have to have something in common with you, yes or no. The question is, do we have a positive substance? Do we have shared values? Do we have shared ideas? Do we have a shared connection between past, present, and future that would bring us together? So I'm not, as a Jew, anti-Semitism is not something that I am focusing on. I'm focusing on who I am.
Okay, good.
What
So
do I
let's move
connect
to that side. Good. Let's shift to that side then. So when your music is hitting, who's the person that it's hitting, and what is the message that they're hearing that they need to hear, and what is the energy that's growing in the world, in the community, because of that work?
I'm not sure I understand the question. You're talking.
When it's happening, when you're doing your thing, and
Yeah.
it hits someone's heart,
Mhm.
right? Like one person, it just flies right past them. They don't get it. But the person that it hits and it affects them and it lights them up and something's happening between you. What is
Right.
that? What's going on there? And what is now growing in the world? What positive infection are you spreading?
Well, first of all, the most basic thing is I would like that person to not feel alone. I'm going to say what you are feeling right now is okay, because I'm feeling the same thing. Because you see a singer on stage, he sings it, and maybe he says it in a way that you didn't, but it's the same emotion that we're feeling. For instance, I'll give you two examples. So I just had a show in Fort Myers, Florida. It was scheduled a while ago, and it happened that the show was the day that the B-bus coffins came back. And of course, if I was singing about, just about, whatever, love or complaining about my wife, which I do in many shows. So that was probably not the right show for that day. And I would even maybe consider canceling, because the state of mind is so removed and far from, what I have to offer. But this show became an opportunity, and my music was a platform for people to come together, people that are hurting so bad because it was a terrible, terrible day for the Jewish people that are really hurting so bad, to come together and express that feeling. And we cried together, we hugged together, and this is just what I want to do right now. I'll tell you another situation that happened to me in the summer. I was performing in North Carolina. I was next to Asheville, and I happened to perform in Asheville twice in the past, so I happened to know a few people. And then I was there because my wife was working in a camp nearby. And then I kind of reached out to this person in the Jewish community. I said, listen, I'm here for a couple of weeks. I know we didn't plan this, but if someone wants a spontaneous house concert from an unapologetic Israeli artist, so I'm here, and I can do that. And maybe people will kind of come together and feel less alone. So that woman kind of connects me with someone, and I'm performing at his house. And then a friend of mine sends me, I know you're next to Asheville, just so you know, here, this is something that happened in Asheville. Okay. I get this article and I see that two Jews and one Christian, but he was supportive of Israel, came to this pro-Palestinian rally in the public library and got beaten up and physically assaulted, and they were thrown out of there. And they came because they wanted to show the evil that was there, because the guy was standing in front of this crowd and saying, how October 7 was great, and how we can think about kind of doing the same thing here in the United States. That was the rally. So they got kicked out of there and beaten up. And then he sends me this article, and I look at the names of the people, and I see that one of those guys, which is now my very, very good friend, David Mortitz, one of the guys that got beaten up, I am performing at his house. This is the house that I'm performing at, right after those people were attacked. And those Jews that came to see my concert at his house were Jews that were feeling afraid, alone. Like in this, we were taking videos, okay, of the show, and I wanted to post. And then someone came to me and said, listen, some of those people here are afraid that people will see that they were at a show of an Israeli artist. People that came to the show, they were afraid.
You were at the house of the guy who got beat up?
Yeah.
The what?
Whose house were you at?
The guy who got beat up.
I was performing at the house of the person that got beat up.
The pro-Palestinian guy?
No, at the pro-Palestinian rally at the library in Nashville. Seth, try to follow the story.
No, now I'm questioning my own.
No. I got it.
Okay, 1 out of 2 got it. Okay, so we're good. So
50-50.
Okay, yeah. So there was a pro-Palestinian rally at the public library. 2 Jews activists and one also pro-Israel supporter came to that meeting, and they took a video. They want people to see the evil and the ugliness that was there. And they at the middle of this thing, the person that spoke, he was like, is this a friendly video or not? And then people in the audience said, well, these people are Zionists. And so what does the guy do? You're kind of, you're in charge of the room. You're the one with the microphone and whatnot. And he says, well, everybody, we have 3 Zionists here with us. What are we going to do about it? Now, this is like a scene taken from, a Hitler or something, like this is like the worst that humans can do. And they just got up and they beat them up and threw them out of there. And then I learned that one of those 3 that were beaten up and heavily bruised, I'm performing at his house. So for me, this show, with, again, the tears, the hugs, this is worth more than 1,000 Coachellas.
It's so easy to understand and connect to what you're doing, and you make us feel so comfortable. I feel like I'm talking to people that I've talked to for a long time, and I'm just happy to back on a Zoom to have a conversation. And that's remarkable because you're taking a fairly complex idea, because it's simple at its core, but complex for people to understand, but you make it very approachable.
I love what you guys are doing. I think it's really great. You're doing exactly what you are hoping the world does, which is do your best to send out a positive message out there and hope that it shifts things for the better. Wonderful.
Look, you're on to something. I'm steeped in kind of, dissecting anti-Semitism, and I'm always about finding the reasons, but I have not thought about the solutions as much as you guys have, and I honor you for that.
I think if you could create unity among all the Jews who support Israel and support Jewish life, however they define that, that is a mission that I'll sign. I will sign. Tell me.
All right, good. We have it on tape. We can end the show. Done.
That's where I'm at right now as an artist.
I want to ask you something, because this what you're describing is a beautiful thing, and those moments that happen, they're very strong, but it sometimes feels like it's a drop in the ocean, like we're up against a big, you said wave earlier, it feels like a tsunami. It's not a wave. It's not even something you can surf. Usually you can surf, you can kind of maybe hold on to something, lower your head, get under the wave, and come out the other side. It seems like much bigger. And we've had on the show, just the show, the last show we did, was a great he's a friend by now, but he was here, almost like 50 shows ago, and then he was here last week, and he was like, no, it's just growing. He was complaining about some of his friends, like you said, treat you weird, and you go, and he's like, I don't feel like going out, to places, and people recognize me as a Jew for some reason. He kind of looks like a Jew, but so, but the point is, it feels like something is really, really big is going on, and without making comparisons to past events and all that, what are we doing? Is just those little gestures of intimacy that happen in those concerts. Is that enough? And again, I'm not questioning what you're doing. I'm asking, like, how do we? I'm trying to kind of put our heads together a little bit. Like, what are we doing? Are we just creating a safe space for victims, or are we trying to somehow change the tides? Can we change the tides?
So I think, first of all, a safe space for victims is important, but also I think that when we stick together, we empower each other. And if we need to go out there, so every one of those Jews that was in this room or another has to go tomorrow to mingle with people, and some of them would be saying terrible things. Maybe at your workplace. Maybe your best friend is now posting disgusting things about Israel and denying October 7th. That's what people are going through right now. Now, this thing, for you to be facing that, you need a lot of energy and a lot of strength. You need fuel to do that. You need to fuel your car, put gas inside, and so you can go out there and face whatever you need to face and not be apologetic about who you are. So you're saying, you're looking at this one side saying, well, the fight is actually outside. But I say, yeah, of course it is. And obviously I think I'm here because you saw my speech, right? But it's also about us giving gas and fueling each other and giving each other strength to go out there and inspiring each other.
This is it. That's great. So what's the big vision? Is it just
so if I can, if I can, I don't put the entire faith of the Jewish people on my own shoulders. I'm not that vain to think that I can actually, but what motivates me is that when my grandson will ask me, what did you do in those times? I don't want to be ashamed. So I'm trying to do the best I can so I can look in the mirror and say, I really, really tried to shine more light in such a dark time. And if that's standing up and speaking on a Summit County Council meeting, or just having coffee with a Jewish friend that doesn't know, that is confused right now and doesn't know what to do, or using my art, my songwriting skills to express where I am, and apparently where other Jews are as well. So this is those are my tools those are the tools that are at my disposal, and I'm just going to do the best I can, because I want to look into my grandson's eyes and not be ashamed. That's pretty much what motivates me.
You're a grandfather?
Not yet, but my dream is to be.
Okay.
I feel like a grandfather would be a nice life achievement. And I feel like when you're a grandfather, you created a clan. I am a father, though. I have 2 kids, and I hope to be a good role model for them, and that's what I want. And when we went to Israel, the Akron for Israel tour, when we went to Israel, the thought, and there's a documentary that's going to come out about that and everything. But my thought is the what?
What's it called?
Well, it's right now, its temporary name is the Akron for Israel tour, but probably something else that has more, that sounds better. But my hope is that if I do something, that will inspire you to do something. And I really believe that our way out of this is by being loud and unapologetic about who we are and about how right we are in this situation. This is our way out.
Okay, cool. Who are we? So who we are, and what was the other thing you want to do? Show who we are and
be proud, unapologetic, and
unapologetic about
okay, so who we are, and so hold on, slow down, Rami, for 1 second. If I was a Navajo Indian, right?
Yeah.
So maybe let's suppose there's a Navajo Rami Feinstein. So he just wants to be non-apologetic about being Navajo, and there's some Southern Baptist, and he just wants to be non-apologetic. Or is it just being non-apologetic about being who, about this protein body that I was born into? Or is there some inner thing that you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about my Jewish identity. About
what is that? What is that? We get a lot of people. Hold on, this is an important moment. We get a lot of people on this show. Most of them are Jews, and we ask most of them, who is a Jew? What is a Jew? How would you explain what a Jew is to an alien, right? Who comes down here and
is it just one of another million variations of, you got a Navajo and Apache, this one or that one, and then a Jew? Or are we talking about that there's some unique thing here that needs to be shined?
No, I don't come from a place where I say that that being Jewish makes me unique in terms of or definitely not better than any other.
Worse?
Any other nation. I like that. Any other nation in some ways. Any other nation in the world. Any other group. But I do have a right as a human being to belong to a group. And from the word that I would use, the first word that I would use to describe my own Jewish identity, because every answer you would give you about what is a Jew, what is Jewish identity, you can say, but look at those Jews, they're not like that, right? Any answer you would give, and I've been throughout my 20s, I used to give Jewish identity workshops and in many different places. And I think the answer that I'd come up with is the word dialogue is the most important word. So my Jewish identity as a Jew, my Jewish identity is built of the dialogue that I'm conducting with the past, present, and future of this group, and all the things that we have created as a group. Now, that dialogue doesn't mean that I necessarily accept everything. On the contrary, part of being Jews is to not accept a lot of things and to argue. But I'm having a dialogue with it. And my dialogue with all the ideas that this is what it means to me to belong to this group, my dialogue with everything that was created by this group is different than the dialogue that I would have when I read about Christianity or Islam or Buddha or anything else. It's different. The same as that you will have a relationship with any person that you meet, and you may like them or not like them, but your brothers and sisters, you treat them differently. The dialogue that you're creating is different than the dialogue of a stranger. So I'm having a dialogue with different components of the group that I am at, of my family, and that dialogue is all I can say, because it doesn't mean that I accept this idea or that idea. but I feel that we are bound together in this connection of past, present, and future. And I'm interested in being a part of this. I'm proud of being a part of this. And I'm looking forward to how we can keep talking with each other like family talks to each other in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm thinking, you got something, Speaker?
Yeah, I got something.
Okay, go ahead.
Would you be surprised to learn that by exercising just this thing that you just said, trying to relate to other strangers within the Jewish family, right, as parts of your family, not just speaking to them this way, but really relating to them, like really caring for them, like you care naturally for your children. If you could do that, if you would make efforts in that direction, above any, differing opinions and points of view and tastes and whatnot, if you did it, then you would open up it's a powerful dimension, let's call it, just for the sake of the conversation. Like you would really be able to reveal something, a deeper layer of reality, not just a nice,
Are you talking about the connection that I have with non-Jews?
No, first of all, with Jews. I'm not saying you can extend it anywhere. It will eventually have to reach the whole world. I'm saying for starters, for now, I'm saying, would you be surprised to learn that there's actually something, and Jewish sages have been talking about it, and his history, looking at our history, our shared past, looking at the patterns of our past, is showing that, and looking at network science, which is what we were doing here on the Jew Function, shows that as well, that there's actually a deep power, which, as you said, is much more than a safe space for victims. It actually is a very unique power, quality that is revealed, natural quality. You don't have to give it a religious name or a spiritual name or whatever. It's a natural quality, but it's of a higher quality, strong, good, empowering. It can cover things, it can hold opposites,
Of course. And I can say that as an artist, for me, it's all about making that connection with Jews and non-Jews, by the way. And I have, since I came here to Akron, I have many friends that are not Jews that I'm very proud of. And also part of what I do here is reaching out to people that are not Jewish, and part of what I do as a musician. We've had I've produced a few unity concerts here in Akron. For me, it's all about the connection. For me, the connection is everything. So
now, follow-up question, important, because would you be equally surprised to learn that if we don't do that, if we don't put the effort toward that, each one in his own way, you're a musician, the other one is a plumber, another guy is a cook, whatever, another one is just whatever. But if we don't do that as Jews, as humans, but as Jews first and foremost, if we don't do that, then it's not simply that we live in a world that's not so great, but actually we get we awaken almost like an opposite reaction from the system of nature. Just like by doing that effort, by putting opposites together, like plus and minus in an electrical circuit, right? And putting a light bulb in the middle and creating some light. If you don't do that, then you create the opposite quality, or not create, you invite from the system the opposite quality. This
maybe even say, we talked before about the dust that you find when you shine the light. If you're not uniting, because there's people that will just follow anything. So the first people are people like you with the vision and making the efforts, and then surrounding you are the people who get sucked into it. If you're not doing that, then
fall out and
it just falls out. If you're not doing it in full force, then not to put any pressure on you, but that that absence is just darkness and the hatred.
It comes back. So it just comes to pressure us to do it, really.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Are you talking about anti-Semitism and saying that we are in a way to blame because we were not reaching out.
Not blame. Blame is maybe a hard word, but
because I would
if I don't eat, if I don't exercise and I get fat, you could say I'm to blame for being fat. But we're saying like if we do the things, it's just a consequence. It's not like to blame. A consequence of us not being united. A consequence of us not bringing all the people together.
Like if you jump out of a plane without a parachute, are you to blame for gravity, for dying?
Mm-hmm.
No, but there are consequences to acting a certain way in the face of certain natural laws. What we're saying is, yes, we exist in a system of laws, and they apply to all levels.
You can also walk on the street and use whatever, follow all the rules and get hit by a car.
That's true.
So if that's an analogy for anti-Semitism, I would strongly disagree with this approach. I would say that sometimes now I feel that this is something Jewish that we do, and we always kind of and in a way we are seeking control. And we're saying, okay, if I only did this, then I would won't be hated, right? If I only and we tend to sometimes, I don't know if that's exactly what you meant, but I'm kind of responding.
There's
to what
also another. There's also
so if we're saying we're constantly looking at, but if we just would have done this differently, maybe they would not hate us so much.
Let's refine what you're saying.
Many times the answer is no. There's nothing you could have done.
Let's refine what you're saying.
It's not on you. And if that's what you, I don't know if I got exactly what you. Hold
on. Before you refine it, I'll just say, just so it's clear for everyone, maybe they're new to listen to this. This is not like some Leo and Seth theory, right? Like we're also looking at 3,000 years of Jewish sages saying this, historic patterns of the past 2,000 years, and again, like I said, network science. So there's a lot that supports this idea. It's not like some we're so special. No, we're talking about a system with laws of interaction, and you behave one way, you invite one reaction, you behave another way, and it's not about I have to do this or invent that or do a startup or what. No, there's something very specific about human relationships. That's where the whole thing comes down to, and how we relate to one another.
So your premise
Rami
is,
Rami
in a philosophical way, your premise is that what you're saying is that if someone is a victim, and it doesn't even have to do with Jews, there's always a part that he played in that.
No, hold on. Slow down. We're not throwing everything into one basket. If he raped me, it's because I did something. No, hold on. If the milk spills, there's consequences. So if you allow Qatar to be the number one funder of donor to universities in the U.S., and you allow all these things to infiltrate, and then something happens, it can't just turn around and say, if I love someone more, that wouldn't have happened. No, absolutely not. There's lots of laws of nature that are operating, and a lot of things that have been set into motion. For example, if I have a peach tree in my backyard that I planted this last fall, and it's not going to have fruit for 3 years. So I can't blame myself every spring for the next 3 years that there's nothing there, because that thing takes 3 years to grow versus
but you do have to tend for it. You do have to tend the tree, right?
So something else can fruit in a year, and I'm sure there's other things out there like cicadas that only come once every 17 years. So there's all these kinds of cycles. So no, we're not saying that some shit happens and I'm looking at myself, I did something wrong, because the thing that happened could have been set in motion 5 years ago, 15 years ago, and it's just coming to fruit now. We're talking
or hundreds of years ago,
or thousands, right? Or thousands.
But it is a closed system, by the way. Rest assured that every
that's the point. That's the point, that it's a closed system. So meaning that I can't say I dressed provocatively and that's why some guy attacked me. No. However, if also, though, just like the tree that's going to take 3 years to fruit, and this other thing that's going to take 12 years to fruit, and whatever else, it's incumbent upon us to keep investing into the system correctly so that at the natural intervals that things will come out. And we shouldn't think that all of these things that are happening are just happening randomly and for no reason. That's the point. Not that I didn't love him enough and therefore we always do these kind of things. If I only did this, then that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Let's just also not be before you, and I'll let you know. We'll let you speak. For sure.
It's okay.
For sure, we'll let you. Not to beat about the bush too much. Basically, what we're saying is that yes, in this crazy world, things move a certain direction. They evolve. They develop. There's all kinds of, as we said, right, forces at work, laws and set in motion, and things are moving. But also in the human species, the way we relate to each other influences what's happening between us. It makes sense. I mean, even on what you can see, right? If you're an egoist and I'm an egoist and we can't get along, we're eventually gonna get into friction. And if our interests are not gonna meet one day, we may get into a fight. We may hit each other. We may even kill each other. Right? We see that.
We need more people like you. This is one of the most amazing conversations I've had in weeks.
I have immense respect for you guys because you're doing like one of the most important things, which is like the ability of self-reflection, which most people just can't do. And the only thing that I can say is we need more people like you guys.
I love what you guys do on this podcast. It's not just identifying the problem, it's how we combat it, is to come closer to who we are.
Take the side of the good who are trying to do something good for everyone. And we're going to find each other. We're connecting the dots now, and then the light will grow.
We're on the hook. These podcasts that you two are doing have a far greater impact than you can imagine. They really do. They do. You're creating angels.
But if we could find a way to rise above this growing ego, animosity, those narrow interests, if we can ensure that we have certain things that work for both of us, we may agree to cooperate. That's usually with humanity. Usually, I'm not even putting religion into this and all that other stuff. But what we're saying is there are additional laws that you can't see, just like a lot of other forces that you can't see at work. And one of those things have to do with how a certain group in humanity sort of behaves towards itself, first and foremost, amongst us. We need to sort of be the example, the pilot program, let's say, and we're just not doing this. And the result is unconscious pressure that comes from outside. You call it anti-Semitism, Jew hatred. I just don't like you. I don't know what it is. Whatever the name you want to give it, an expression, it doesn't matter. But it sits on this feeling that somehow the next level in my evolution depends on these people behaving a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry, I was rambling. Go on.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I feel like you were very generous about letting me speak for a long time. So that's the least I can do. So I guess, of course, we have some influence and of course there's things that we can do here or there to plant a tree like this or like that. And of course there's a part where we don't have influence. And I would say that for some of us, it's hard to accept, for instance, that we are dealing with a group that does not share our will to reason and coexist. And once once that happens, we constantly and I'm not sure if I'm kind of following through on exactly what you want to say, but some of the things that I've heard here and there that we, if we only did this, if we only did that, maybe we could reason with some of those people, and some of those people can be reasoned with, but some cannot. And it's hard for a Western mind to sometimes accept that. I'm sorry,
I'll add complexity to exactly what you're saying. And that's another whole other podcast. We won't get into it. But yes, it also means that if you have to kill someone, you kill them. There's nothing to do with how loving you are, right? Because, there are laws for that as well. It's not about that. But it's hard for a Western mind to grasp even that, and the rules of the neighborhood, so to speak, that are, happening here in the Middle East. But put that aside, but, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the question is, when you're generalizing like this, sure, I can partly agree, depending on the case, but I guess my question to you would be, what are you actually referring to? Because then I can understand if I agree or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, it's love, which sounds very naive and simple, and also starting with the small circle and increasing the power from there. We're not going out trying to reason with a murderer or reason with some idiot on the street who's supporting Hamas. Not at all. But if we can understand who we are in our mission, which is to increase love and connection and goodness in the world, and we can spread that in our circle, like, for example, you're able to reach these people's hearts, make them feel connected, make them feel they're not alone, and then that circle becomes stronger and each of those people becomes stronger, then that will radiate into the system enough. If we do it within the Jews, we have to do it to everyone eventually. It needs to reach everyone. But there's such a thing with Jews that it's such a tiny little group, and whatever happens in that group radiates through humanity. So, Rami Feinstein may be reaching, Coachella is like small potatoes compared to how this thing can radiate through the hearts. You might not, you see your name in lights because of it, but you may be affecting, on the Coachella headline thing, but maybe you will. But the point is that it still can reach, say, millions of hearts and change those people. And through this network, that's what we're saying. We're saying we have a responsibility to bring unity and connection. Basically, that's what we're saying. And we're also saying if we don't, we shouldn't be surprised that shit and darkness and violence and hate and death fills the void that's not being filled by
I'll use also Rami's words, because you said very beautifully in your definition of a Jew, when you talk about the dialogue, right, and the ability to entertain opposing views, right, and argue for something, against something. It feels natural to you maybe, but we spoke to a lot of people, and a lot of them said, no, it's not an easy thing for everyone to do. This is something, some people, humanity, not everyone who has like a Jewish passport. It's a much deeper thing than that. But there is a certain group that learned how to do it many years ago and sort of got eventually dispersed among the nations. And now it's time to sort of show everyone else how to do it. And it's not just this quality. You describe one quality. There are other things, right, that we take for granted. Our ability to see a few steps ahead in every situation, to see kind of like how the system works, to sit around a table, dare I say, Shabbat table, with people that you haven't seen from the extended family, that you don't share their views and politics and sexual preferences, and you can sit together and have a good time. This is not natural. People, who are not Jews, they make a whole movies about it and how it took them 40 years to finally sit together around a table. It doesn't happen. The world needs to see that example. And the problem is, and I don't need to go as far back as the Spanish Inquisition, expulsion, and Holocaust, October 6th. And even now, the problem is that when we fall out of that, when we stop showing that example, there's a counter reaction. People don't know.
So I would definitely share your concern for the discourse that we're having, especially in Israel, also in the States. But obviously, I can talk more about Israel as an Israeli. The discourse that we're having with people that we disagree with, and the amount of demonizing each other, and I can say that for me, that is a very I don't know how do you say it in English, like a soft spot where
say it's painful.
For me, it's very, very painful, and sometimes it's more painful than other things coming from outside. The way that Jews talk to each other and demonize each other, and the way that we, in a sense, provide sometimes weapons to our haters by doing so and demonizing each other. And that would be something that I would definitely agree with you if I understand you correctly. And it's very, very hard for me personally. And I try to make it my business to be friends and conduct a dialogue with people that I strongly disagree with. I think it's extremely important, even though it could be very painful sometimes to sit and to hear. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to see this person. I just want to talk to someone that I can vent and we're both going to be like, yeah. And but I do have close friends that I strongly disagree with about Israeli politics and identity and a lot of things. I think the place that we may differ, if I understand it correctly, is it feels by the way that you're defining it that you're pretty much putting everything on that. And if I would, I
and
don't
also
know.
a good army. Love is everything, and a good army.
And a good army. Good army would be nice. And also, again, there are sometimes evil that you cannot control in this world. And I do believe in that. And I do believe that this is something that is important for us as human beings to accept. We are not responsible for all the evil in the world. We are responsible to fight it. We are responsible to show the light, to be an example for something else. But we are not responsible for all the evil that was created in this world.
No, Rami, Leo, and Seth didn't make all of the evil in the world. That's for sure. But if
neither did the Jewish people.
No, but
no, we didn't. The Creator did it, and there's a reason why.
What if
it has to be a part two? We can't.
No. I know. But I know we have to wrap. But I want to leave. We usually invite people to, not usually, always invite people to read a little quote from our sages, which I'll let you in a second. But I want you to just say a couple words on this premise, because you said, why assume that I say the opposite. Why not assume that you have the power to change everything, that everything is on you? Why do you feel hold on?
Because I'm not that vain. I don't think
it's not vanity. It's not vanity. Look, even quantum physicists say that every person is a center of reality. There's no reality but the one that you perceive. That's even the one we started right now in the show. Apparently, we didn't realize we're going to get there, but here we are talking about the power of the observer. And you don't need, you can really go, and the more scientists dig into that, the less they can explain that phenomenon, that feeling of I'm the center of the world. It has a reason.
I don't think I'm the center of the world.
I know
you are.
No, you're being a nice guy. Every person thinks they're the center of the world. My point is, when I use it, what if, again, imagine that you had this power, this quality.
Well, I'm the center of my world. I'm not the center of everyone's world, and I'm definitely not the cause of everything good or evil in this world. But we may not agree on the philosophy of all those things, but we would probably, I feel like if we would have a practical discussion about how we should act, I think that we would probably come to a very, very quick agreement, because the things that you would want to achieve, I would probably be a good partner for that. And I think this is the most important part, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're looking to build circles, smaller and bigger, and inject into that this sense of responsibility that our good future is in our hands. That's it. We have to spread love. We have to spread good connection. We can talk for hours and back it up with what the sages say for thousands of years and what network science shows. It's not relevant right now, but the conclusion is that the absence of that leaves darkness. Not that Rami, Leo, and Seth screwed up and therefore all this shit happened in the world. That's not what we're saying. But we're all parts of this integral system.
You're putting my name first. You say Rami, Leo, and Seth screwed up.
You're the one out there.
I just joined this podcast now for one
listen, that's
episode.
It.
Like maybe I should be last. Maybe Leo, Seth, and Rami.
No. There are no coincidences, my friend. No
I feel like it's a little bit not so polite.
Look, it's not Rami's fault that.
Look, I gave you an easy quote. You can. It's in the chat.
By who? Who wrote it?
Because our sages says that no calamity comes to the world if not for Israel, and also no good comes to the world but for Israel, and the guidance of all the worlds is given to Israel. So that's, again, wiser people than us said those things, and they say it a lot of different ways, and for no financial gain, by the way. They have a deeper reason.
The vitality and sustenance and correction of the whole of creation are by people of differing views becoming included together in love, unity, and peace.
I would agree for the most part. I think some views should not be part of this, but in general, if you are for coexistence and you're just different, I would reach out to you in general and try to be your friend. But if you are not for coexistence, we may have a problem.
Yeah, leave those guys out for now. Let's just
deal with that all the way at the end.
Yeah,
first we're looking for people who are willing to cooperate.
I feel like in the sense of urgency, we kind of need to deal with it right now. But sure.
True. So there's no question. There's more work to do. There's more stuff to talk about. Definitely, if I'm in Akron, Ohio, I'll stop by. I will check the music. Can people listen to your music somewhere? Is it on somewhere? Spotify?
Yeah, absolutely. Spotify, YouTube. I have 3 albums in Hebrew and one in English, and some new songs now after October 7 as well. So Spotify, YouTube, and I have a website, and wherever you go, you can just Google my name. And
Rami Feinstein, right?
And of course, social media. And I appreciate you having me here. And I look forward to discussing those things some more with you guys when you come to Akron on a cup of coffee.
We'll make it a date. Send us the links, by the way. We'll put it in the chat and in the description. It will be there. Do you have a guitar? Can you play us a song now? Or is it
I don't have a guitar here right now.
See, another chance to be famous, and you blew it.
That's it.
Rami, thank you so much for being here, for entertaining our crazy ideas.
Absolutely.
And for really showing that you really do have a great heart, and you're willing to back it. You're not just you're willing to sing to get.
We don't have to agree about everything, but we are in this together, and that's for sure. And we need to support each other and be loud together. And that only comes if we are together. It only comes by us understanding that we have the same faith, and I strongly believe in that.
Amen. This is the Jew Function. That's what we do here. We add friends to our circle, and eventually we're going to be able to run for Congress or something. Like, comment, share, subscribe to the Jew Function. We'll see you here next time. I didn't make a pitch, but if you want to support us on Patreon, because it's such a great
send Leo money. Okay, we know.
Send me money.
Bye,
yes. You know what the deal is. Thank you, Rami. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.